guys, Tyler Vanderhooven here, introducing Elixir 1.1, bringing such things to the table as style swaps, so we can use background images now, no refresh, no cookies, integrated lazy load support, as well as height attributes for things like art-directed images. So if we watch our numbers, everything kind of acts as we would expect, except we don't have to do a refresh. All those numbers are going to change based on their own widths in their own scopes. All of these images are acting inside of their own scope. So all of that's really cool. It's also retina ready. If I were to drag this onto my retina screen, we'll notice that it'll resize accordingly, just like you would expect. Not that you're going to be dragging back and forth from Retina, just showing this Retina optimized. If we downsize, it's already loaded a full-size image, so it doesn't need to go back down again. And so those all stay the same, except for ones that haven't lazy loaded yet, because we don't want to load a larger image than we have to if there's a downsize. But as we go down, those will start to swap from data source to an actual source, which is pretty cool. Let's take a quick look at our code. We can see now that Elixir has been moved into a tag pair, which wraps around an image or a div or something that's got a style attribute, which is pretty cool. And that allows us to set these different scopes of widths using a key name, which will be associated with this particular pair tag. And then the keys that are inside of that, inside this class attribute, we're actually using the key, which we'll put in a key name for that class. And then we also use a width attribute here, which would be one of these widths here. We can see up here we've also got a fallback attribute, which we can use. And then Elixir actually automatically looks for this background image inside of a style, and if it uses that, it's going to start swapping style. But if you wanted to just use background for some reason and include some other attributes or something inside of that, you could just force background by setting that to true. We're not going to do that. And so fallback actually now, instead of kind of duplicating one of these numbers, is actually a non-zero index. And so this number 2 would be this number right here is what it's going to fall back to. And this really only has effect or only loads that image if there's no JavaScript support. And then it would load this image. Alright, which is good. And then all of these pieces are, the transform tag is all available for you to use. You can use the width, I think I used it down here. You can use width, that key name, inside of a destination, which if we go into the resize, you can see in some of these I have that being used to organize my folders, but in background I'm just setting it into that folder, and then I have those 4 because I'm only loading up 4 of this single image instead of using the get file folder. And so there's only 4, so I didn't really need to create that folder structure. But that gives you freedom to kind of put your images wherever you want outside of maybe your full-size folder that you're using, which is handy. Another attribute is this lazy, which this one it's using unveil lazy load, and so lazy that particular library has a attribute that you can set that kind of sets how far before it's in view in the window would you like to have the image load. And so this can be any sort of pixel value number. If you want it to be 0, which is what I had it before, you just set it to 0, 0, because otherwise just 0 is false. And so that'll set that bit. Another attribute that I don't actually have loaded yet is my heights array, which if you wanted it to just be squares, just set your action inside the transform to smart, which will actually crop it to a square anyway. But if you didn't want to do that and you wanted to try fooling around with some sort of art-directed thing, which you really should be doing in Photoshop, but we all don't have that kind of time, so you can try and cheat maybe and get some sort of different ratio if you wanted to. We'll just say 400, heck 500, 600, It's going to get really narrow pretty fast. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. And so that's got to match up. If you've got 5 widths, you need to have 5 heights. And then my fallback is 3, so that's going to be 800 and 600 if there wasn't JavaScript support. All the rest is good there. So all we need to do here is find my height and set that to height. And you'll also notice here that I've got this second source being created. Elixir will swap out this source for a data source if there is JavaScript, and so then that's going to be used to swap the source once either the lazy load is loaded or once the images are resized and we know what size we want to swap it out as. But if you set a second one, you can do something like a loader, especially if you're using lazy load. You can use this little spinner or something. When people are scrolling through it, they can see that spinner, and that doesn't go there. That goes there inside the transform tag. Save that out. Come back over here. Reload this. Once those images are made, we can see now that it's also pulling in a height value, and then as we resize it, the height's going to swap as well, which is very nice for maybe trying to do some sort of height directed, or in this case, portrait images. They're all going to be the same ratio. So if that's useful to you, it's available. That's pretty much it, though. Some pretty major updates, going to help you guys a lot with doing different scoped images, or even just not having to worry about refreshing. Really appreciate the time that you guys have spent sending in questions and feature requests, and for those who have already supported the project. I hope it's useful to you. Thanks a whole bunch for checking this out.